Okay, a couple of things you can do with the Three Little Birds chord pattern if you're a bit more experienced as a player. We know the three chords we've got. We've got a chord of A, a chord of D, and a chord of E. Now those chords stay the same. First thing, and probably the most simple, is instead of just strumming the simple chord, etc., what you can do, you can add what they call a bass strum pattern. So what that means is you can either do it with a plectrum or you can do it with your fingers, but you hit the bass note, so under the chord of A, you actually hit the note A, which is string 5, and then on the second beat you do the off beat, so you go, so you're strumming, you do it with your fingers as well, so you put your thumb on the 5th string, which is the note A, and then with your other fingers you can either just pluck the 3 strings above it, or you could even do a downward strum. So there's a few ways you could do it, but if you get a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 pattern with the bass note on the main beat, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So do that, and then when you change to the chord of D, same pattern, but the only thing you need to be aware of, when you're playing the chord of D, the root note, the note D, is actually string 4. Then back to A. Don't worry about a thing. Change to D, 'cause every little thing gonna be your. Back to A. When we get to the verse, you know, because the verse is where we have the E chord as well. When you get to the chord of E, the only thing to remember is the root note for the E chord is actually on string 6. Oops, twangy. One thing you might notice I'm doing here, which you can, it's an optional effect. When I'm doing the strum, and then muting it with the heel of my hand here. So after I've played it, I then put my hand on the strings. Just makes it a nice short sound rather than ringing on too much. Okay, so when you get to the three patterns to realise are, first of all, the A chord uses the root note on string 5. When you do a chord of D, the root note is on string 4. When you get to the chord of E, the root note of E is on string 6. Okay, so that's the first thing you can do. Obviously, just using the same chord patterns, if you wanted to, you could then start, you could what they call arpeggiate them. So rather than just strum a chord, you could. You can make up your own picking pattern if you want, just to make it a bit more interesting. Same thing, you could use your thumb and fingers. The basic style is you'd use the bass note with your thumb, and then with your next 3 fingers, you'd put them on strings 3, 2, and 1. So similar to the bass drum style, but you're doing thumb, string 3, then 2, then 1, thumb, 3, 2, 1, on whichever chord. So same thing. The next thing you might want to try is the riff that is used within Three Little Birds. The do 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 do. If you want to play that. Okay, so it's all down here. It's relatively simple to do. It happens over the chords of A and over the chord of D. So over the chord of A, I'll move my plectrum up here and just try and shuffle in a bit. It's 2 open strings, or if I'm going to play like this. So I'm like putting in the first 2 beats of the bar. So it's. So string 5 open again, and for a 3rd time. Then we go into the pattern. So it's on string 5 open, fret 2, open, then string 4, fret 2, string 5 fret 4, string 5 fret 2, and then open. So you end up with something like I'm missing, so I'm trying to play it down there. And then when the chord changes to the chord of D, you do exactly the same riff, but move everything just down a string. So you're now starting on string 4. Okay, so you can add all those things. One more, if you want to be a little bit more even advanced than that, there are things called triads, which are versions of the chords, but they can be played further up the neck, and they only use strings 1, 2, and 3. Just to show you a couple of quick ones, if you know a D chord, you know the D shape, slide that up so that you are, so take your D shape so that your first and second fingers are actually in fret 9, and then your third finger's in fret 10. So it's a D shape, slide up there. That's actually a version of a chord of A. You can see it sounds the same. There's 2 more versions you need. So that's your chord of A, starting in fret 9, but it's just a D shape. Your chord of D is, if I can remember, with your first finger in fret 10, cover strings 1 and 2. So fret 10, first finger, cover strings 1 and 2. Third finger just loops over string 3, fret 11. And that's actually a chord of D. Okay, it's a triad of D. So you've got the A, D, and just to keep it simple, when we use a chord of E, just slide the D pattern up 2, so it's actually starting in fret 12. So this would work, this type of triad would work on the sort of offbeats. If it's doing a reggae song like this one, you think you'd play on the ands rather than the main beats. You think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. How's every little thing gonna be alright? Singing, don't worry. Only striking strings 1, 2 and 3. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. Okay? If you want to, you could obviously play around picking those strings up there. So there's loads and loads of things you can do with just a simple chord sequence. Now there should be a sheet of extension work with all of the tab for those little things I've just shown you, but that just should give you a clue, or should give you some stuff to get stuck into.